So I think the next thing I wanted to talk about was get Tony up here, was to get into the plantation model as it relates to kind of the Mucusless diet, or these kind of higher level plant-based diets. So I'm gonna let Tony go ahead and kind of explain the nutritional healing, kind of our concept of the plantation model, and how it relates to our understanding of the diet and transition.
Right. Yeah, we were talking. Me and Spira were talking about the the Black community, historically, our place in society, and we came up with the metaphor analogy that America's like a plantation, or the world is like a plantation for us as colonized people who are struggling to get out of colonization. And in that, it works as a plantation model. And we were looking at where different aspects of liberation fit in for us as Black people. So you have you have on plantation, you have the Black religious leader, you have the Black, you could say the Black the Black brute, which could be like the athlete, the strong Black man. You have
there's the John Henry, which is like that's the workhorse. That's the workhorse. That doesn't question anything, doesn't want to ruffle any feathers, but will work themselves to death. You got the Black brute, which is sort of the the scary,
the fighter type,
fighter, that kind of thing.
Then you have the
threatening
and then you have the
element.
Black religious leader, or Black spiritualist, and then I added the part about what I call the secret garden, which is Black people, when we were enslaved, we had secret gardens, and I consider that like the real secret garden. We weren't allowed to have it, but 1 a.m., 3 a.m., we would sneak out and till the soil in the woods or wherever we could. And that's actually what we were surviving on, because if you read quote unquote slave narratives and whatnot, when we were enslaved, we were only given small amounts of corn mush, very, very meager rations. And we would supplement our diet with secretly grown fruits and vegetables, or foraged fruits and vegetables as well. And so that kind of underground secret garden health person was also the Black community as a liberation aspect. And we were saying in our discussion on it, we were saying that actually Black health teachers fit into these different ones. You have the Black religious health teacher. You have the Black
and explain that and you had to explain, because the Black religious health teacher, what do? They appeal to that part of the psyche that sort of gets is attractive to those kind of concepts and that kind of like vibration and energy, and and so it's like appealing to a certain area of consciousness.
And that can range from everything from I guess Christians who talk about a 40-day fast, or something like that, all the way to African religions who when we only put health in the context of spirituality, and then another health teacher might say, get healthy so you can run 50 miles and so you can be the best athlete.
So you can work
and you
for
can
massa.
impress people.
You can work.
You can impress people with your muscles. So it's like these different aspects, and we were trying to find out
Well,
where,
and then there's
you know,
and then I called us more like the liberationists. You know, it's like the people that the slaves that are plotting, that you got the secret garden, and then when they when the time comes, it's time. Well, at least, and this was me, is we were trying to put ourselves in different categories of like, well, what do we represent? And Brother Air was interesting. He said he represents the person that was on his way over to this country on the slave ship that decided to jump off the slave ship and swim and basically take his life into his own hands and see if he could make it. You know, it's like it's a long swim, but he's like, I'm gonna take my chances with that. And he was saying that the other people there, you had the people that were just going along with the show on the slave ship, and then you had the people that were trying to fight with it, and then you had the people jumping off. He said he was a person jumping off, and that's how he kind of practices the Mucusless diet. You know, it's kind of like, you know, it kind of feels like he's, you know, he's kind of jumping off like that. With me, I'm really inspired by Harriet Tubman, you know, and that legacy, and that's the way that I practice the diet, and that's the way that I kind of interact with other brothers and sisters. And I've oftentimes find that I come into the same type of energy that Harriet Tubman came into, because like she said, one of the she could have freed thousands of more slaves if they'd have recognized that they were slaves, or if they would have simply wanted to be free. And and like I was telling Tony, you know, there's on one level, there's like, yeah, you kind of ease people into the information, and there's that technique that you kind of was talking about, where you kind of, you know, you ease people in and you kind of deal with where they're at. The way I look at it though is when Harriet Tubman came down, when the Underground Railroad was chugging, and they might come by a plantation, you have 2 minutes to decide if you're gonna leave. So where I was at, and I was hitting that point about Harriet Tubman, and basically when the Underground Railroad is moving, we don't have time. Like, we don't have time to sit around and, you know, and have a discussion and debate. It's kind of like, are you coming or not? You know, when Harriet showed up, you had about 2 minutes to decide, are you gonna you know, are you gonna leave your family behind? Some of them you couldn't take everybody. You had to leave kids behind sometimes. Sometimes you might not have had time to gather all belongings. If you had them, you couldn't prepare a nice bag, a trail bag, like you going hiking. It was like, you might not even have shoes on. It's like, are you coming or not? How important is your liberation to you? How important is freedom to you? What are you willing to do to become free? And we don't have time. It's like, we don't have time to make that decision. You're either on the railroad now, and and the train is moving out, and we're leaving, or you're gonna stay on the plantation and you kind of try to fend for yourself there. You know, so for me, that's sort of the role that I most identify with, as far as the liberationist, the ones that's like, you know, I'm not necessarily gonna jump off the ship, but once we're here and we've taken advantage of the secret garden, then when the opportunity arises to leave, there ain't no thought, there ain't no thinking about it. You know, it's time to roll. And you know, and so that's where I kind of find our
it's getting blurry. Hello?
Yeah, that was whatever. Yeah, it got better. It was some kind of
okay. That's still right, Tony?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no?
Yep, that's good.
That was just
I heard it. It's better now.
Yeah, it was a little bit of interference. But yeah, so it's like that type of urgency, and that's, you know, that's what I would like to see more of that, you know, with the brothers and sisters, and just in general people, like, because that's, if you want to really get yourself together, that is like the attitude that really has to be dealt with, is that it like this. And that's why we go back to even this analogy of the plantation model, is because like what does being enslaved mean to you? And for some people, it wasn't that serious. It was like they had already resigned themselves to the fact that they're slaves and they're gonna be slaves, and they weren't fighting to. And it wasn't urgent. Leaving wasn't urgent, especially if they were comfortable and they was the house slaves. They're like, why? What do y'all want to leave for? I'm comfortable. I'm up here doing my thing. And though the house slaves to me would represent that sort of that's those people that have the attitude like, well, we're gonna die one day, and I'm healthy enough, and I'm, and then they go out and they're just enjoying all of the fun that the plantation has to offer, the clubs and the drinking and the all kinds of sex all over the place and that kind of thing. And so that's like that's the modern day house Negro for me. Those folks is kind of like that, like they don't have no desire to be free on any level. They're not even like, and they start talking to somebody about that topic, man, they turn off and they're just like, what you talking about? We don't talk too long. I got to get to the club, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is that's where we're at, and to take this thing that serious, as if we want to be free, because that's what we're saying, is we like to use the word physiological liberation. We trying to liberate ourselves and physiologically, and the physical piece is the one thing that's like the most destructive holdover from slavery, is the slave diet. Because look at that. I don't know of any other people in history that have had such a gap between being forced into the worst diet imaginable on planet Earth. The slave the slave diet from a European. Like now you're talking about the worst imaginable diet that could be given to somebody. And you're going to take people that now, and you can get into the history of the various communities in Africa had, there was some that was more plant-based than others and stuff like that. But based on the history, you're talking about people that are much closer physiologically to the fruitarian ancestors. So you take that physiology, and without transitioning them at all, you force them into this terrible diet, and a lot of folks didn't make it. That's why so many people died. Just based on like they couldn't make that leap into being able to deal with those new foods. And I think the ones that made it might have did so because they were able to fast. I mean, there was a lot of them that just probably didn't eat for a long time. Just on the way over here, and then once they got here, until the secret garden was happening, and those are details that really need to be better analyzed, and because up to now, a lot of the people that have analyzed that type of history have been the, sort of the soul food type of, this is our heritage. Is like, no, that's a slave heritage, but that to me, because if I took any other people, and it would be torture for me to, like, say, go to Asia and put all those Asians on the diet that I eat today without transitioning, just to like, okay, all you're going to have today is 6 apples. All you're going to have today is apple juice or lemon juice. If I did that, there's a lot of people that wouldn't make it because there was no transition. That's way too aggressive to go and to
right.
force an entire people to do that, and so that's basically what happened to the Africans. They were forced into such a terrible diet, and out of all of the other things that have happened over the years, and of course in the 60s you had, and before that, I mean, you have the process of trying to remove the mental slavery, because we all know after the physical thing, there had been such a number done on the mental that to this day the slave mentality perpetuates. But to me, the biggest thing that allows that slave mentality to perpetuate is the dietary. And then for those that even do the studying, and they might get the book knowledge together and they get it together in their head, like, okay, well, they understand the aspects of racism and the history of slavery and all that kind of stuff. Yet what happens? The brothers and sisters still don't know the first thing about physiology, and they're still addicted to the slave diet. So for me, that's where Mucusless Diet becomes the most revolutionary thing for us to be doing, because learning how to control what you put into your body is the one thing that you have in your world that you control, that they can't say nothing about, and that can bring about the most change. And this is a thing I've seen, especially with folks that really get into it, because there's like a lot of people that were like, well, we need to be marching, or we need to be organizing community, and we need to be organizing, but we really need to be organizing around the Mucusless Diet, around, well, how do we get more fruits and vegetables into the community? And I know there's a lot of brothers and sisters in different places. I see some of the websites and stuff where folks are doing, like the gardens and that, and that kind of thing, and that movement, and that needs to really grow. But what I think will actually help that would be when you add this level of understanding to what the brothers and sisters are already doing, where it's like, okay, that's great. That's a transition in the right direction. Now, here's this knowledge where you can take this thing to a whole nother level, because that's what excites me, to see brothers and sisters get into this, into the diet. The potential of what can be accomplished is is like unmatched. It's like we really don't know what the boundaries are, with brothers and sisters getting into this thing, and that's what we're trying to explore, to see, where this thing can be taken, from that standpoint. And but yeah, so that's kind of my piece on that. And Tony, you got anything to add to the plantation model wrap up?
Oh, well, I think Brother Air made a good point, because he said, if we do get into a serious liberation, we're not going to have nothing. Like, if there's a separation between, the colonized and the colonizer, the colonized people are not going to have, we're not going to own we're not going to own the industry to have all the meat and to have all the dairy processed. Like that's owned by the colonizer. So if you're addicted to that stuff, it's actually impossible to become free. Impossible. Because you don't own it, and you're going to have to go to them for your food. So you made a good point about the gardening, because I really enjoy the gardening, but when I talk to the people, they don't have any interest in living on the garden. It's like, let's live on the garden, and they're like, oh, well, this is just supplemental, and you can't get free on supplements. You got to get free on real food. So I think that's a really good point. It's just that we're going to actually need this if we want any kind of liberation. And I just think that's a good point to add.
Right? Because we've seen what happens when it's not in play. Just historically, we see how far the brothers and sisters that came before us was able to take it without the diet, without knowledge of the diet. And to me, that was the missing link. You look at something like the breakfast program, the Black Panthers. I mean, they were thinking in terms of that type of community connection, getting food to the brothers and sisters. The problem was they had no consciousness of diet, so they're giving them, eggs and bacon. So that was like, to me, that was the downfall, of those movements that were there. It was like there was a lot of energy, a lot of, kind of movement and trying to this upheaval, but it didn't have the fundamental issue of getting the dietary together to physiological liberation. It was not there, and we see what ended up happening, man. It was I met Bobby Seale once, and I took a picture years ago I was in one of those wicker chairs, but I was in my full Professor Spira regalia with the face paint and everything else, and I took this picture that it kind of looked like the Huey P. Newton picture, where he's in the wicker chair sitting there, and it was like it was kind of my version. And I showed that to Bobby Seale, and he kind of laughed. He's like, "Yeah, brother," but and I kind of was telling him, because I was interested to see if it would click to him what I was saying, because I had been disheartened when I looked in the 80s at the footage that they have of the brothers, that was running things in the 70s. In the 80s, there's like this barbecuing with Bobby. I don't know if y'all seen that. It is sad, man. But he's on this like talk show.
Oh man.
and he's like, she's got this old, like this big old smock on, and he's like, barbecuing with Bobby, and he's talking about his little barbecue sauce and all this kind of stuff, and so we see the direction he went. And then in a lot of those documentaries, I noticed that a lot of the most hardcore brothers and sisters from the 70s, they were kind of up into that middle classism type of vibe, with the Cosby sweaters on, and in a in more of a middle class type of house and stuff, and the way they were talking, it was kind of like they were trying to remember way back when, it was almost like they had to hone in on their that old vibration, that old revolutionary vibration, because they had almost got separated from it. And again, what did it? The plantation, in the diet piece. And
and I wanted to get in, man, because I was interested in nutritional healing's perspective on the whole analysis of the plantation. That's what I was interested in. And it was like you touched on something which was crucial to me. Like I recently saw one of the brothers I was working with who considers himself like a professional revolutionary. Like that's what he does full time, is try to organize, brothers and sisters. And he would be like eating McDonald's in between organizing. And they recently opened like a black gym, and he's an older brother. He's like in his 60s, and they had him pumping iron, like he was sweating hardcore. And I was just thinking, like, the combination of that kind of working out on top of the McDonald's diet is going to completely destroy the brother, And the other part was that it makes me think about the mind, like the level of consciousness, like so-called revolutionaries. Why are they always going along that same stream of thought of a European? Like they're always adopting the thought processes, the ideology of revolution from a European perspective. And I just want to add something that Arnold Ehret put in the Mucusless Diet, because we know that ancient Egyptians were black. And he said the mathematician Pythagoras could not gain admittance to the school of philosophers in Egypt until he underwent a fast, not for moral forbearance, but physiological purification to enable his brain to grasp great wisdom.
Right.
You see, so if we're filthy, we're actually not going to be able to think at a higher level to do anything.
Well, I would like to
just cut it short with this whole people eating this McDonald's thing. We all know that these fast food franchise basically a conspiracy. It's true. It's basically a conspiracy to kill people. They known this back in 1940s or late 1800s. Get the movie Soylent Green. Have one of you brothers saw that movie Soylent Green?
Yeah.
Where
No,
they
I actually haven't seen it.
Well, I'm going to tell you what it's about. They basically said in the year 2010, which is our cycle now, or perhaps, no, 2020, actually. 2010 or 2020. One or the other. They basically said in the year 2020, there will be no jobs. People will be scarce. It will be scarce of food. And people will be eating people. And what they mean by people will be eating people is that they will be getting these particular types of food from fast food restaurants or franchises. The brother Bobby Hemmett, are you guys familiar with Bobby Hemmett?
No.
Yeah.
Well, he's a master metaphysical teacher. He speaks on occult science and everything and whatnot. He was dealing with a woman that he was messing around with, and he stopped eating meat. He turned into a vegetarian. But one day he just had an urge of eating like a fish sandwich or whatever, and this I believe was from McDonald's or one of them Burger King or one of them fast food restaurants. And the sister that he was dealing with, she was a psychic. Well, she had psychic abilities, and what she said was, she was like, you ate a a dead person, you ate a body.
Mm-hmm.
Long and behold, he started throwing up, all types of stuff. He had caught a virus, and the ancestors came to him and confirmed that he ate a body part. Now, what happened to I don't know if you guys are familiar with the incident that happened in Georgia, where lots of melanated boys wind up missing. Now, they wind up missing in Georgia, but
that happens all the time.
Right.
All over the place. Yeah.
Black folks wind up missing all over the country. Where are these people going? They're killing them and feeding you back the body parts, which is shown in Soylent Green. You see, which is shown in Soylent Green. So for the people that are listening to this interview on healthy eating, you have to begin to understand that this fast food franchises, I don't care where you're going to Checkers, BBQ, Dallas, whatever, Sony's, wherever state you're from, you have to stop, because they are body parts. They take
Whataburger.
Different states have different fast food sizes.
Well, and that's why we emphasize, like, and me and Tony talked a lot about, like, I mean, the whole restaurant thing was scrapped. I mean, I haven't eaten in a restaurant in 11 years, and it was just because, like we said, controlling what you put in your body and having a 100% knowledge of what you're putting in your body,
Do you ever wake up in the morning feeling bad? I mean really bad? Blowing your nose and coughing up green slime bad? What if I told you that the foods you eat are causing mucus to back up in your body? The good news is this waste can be eliminated naturally. Discover the simplest and most powerful natural lifestyle secret that has improved the lives of thousands. Professor Arnold Ehret's Mucusless Diet Healing System, annotated, revised, and edited by Professor Spira, is a complete course for those who desire to take their health into their own hands. You will learn how to naturally get rid of that annoying stuffy nose, soothe your nasty cough, melt away unwanted body fat, prevent dangerous health issues, and heal yourself of painful illnesses. Where are my real brothers and sisters at? You think you're hard? You think you're a revolutionary? then you got to be talking about health. Learning to control what you put into your mouth is the most revolutionary thing you can do. Check out the book that inspired Dr. Sebi, Lila Africa, and many others. Visit www.mucusfreelife.com/revised-mucusless-diet to get your copy today while supplies last.